So good tips to use when you're surrounded by lots of different foods is think about those foods and try to imagine it being grown, or imagine it in its original form, and think about the steps that it takes to get to the edible version. So the least amount of steps, you know that you're getting the most nutritious form of that food compared to the other more processed forms. We've traveled pretty far from the ways that our grandparents and great-grandparents ate, which was closer to nature, more whole foods, foods in their real form. And so we're plagued with this chronic disease that can be stemmed from and fueled by inflammatory foods. And so taking several steps back and going to the basics of real whole foods that give us those nutrients that we normally miss out on can do so many great things for our health. So turkey is a great source of protein, and we all need a good source of protein in our daily diets. And so what turkey has specifically is an essential amino acid called tryptophan. And tryptophan helps us produce serotonin, which is a neurotransmitter that helps regulate mood. So what sets this turkey apart is that first we bake it, which is a healthy way of cooking. We also coat it with herbs and spices and olive oil. So olive oil has very healthy monounsaturated fats and part of a Mediterranean diet. But what herbs and spices can give us, they're their own nutritional powerhouses. So we use rosemary, thyme, and sage to coat the turkey on top of and inside of the skin, and that helps it bring lots of good flavor in. So it's just taking that health benefit up a notch a little bit with those herbs and spices. So butternut squash is a great alternative to those higher starchy vegetables like potatoes. This is a great source of beta carotene, which converts to vitamin A in our body and a fat-soluble vitamin. It also has a great source of those complex carbohydrates that digest more slowly in the body. So it gives us more stable energy levels because we don't have those blood sugar and insulin swings. Potatoes, inherently, they're a whole food. So that is a much better alternative than to, a boxed instant potato that we get. And that's always a good thing when you can get food in its more whole form. We get more vitamins and minerals that way. But the problem nowadays tends to be not necessarily the food itself, if it's a whole food, but the volume and the quantity. And so when we eat a lot of white potato, it does give us some vitamins and minerals, but when we can switch to something that's a little bit lower in carbohydrate, mix it with some non-starchy vegetables, we get a lot more bang for our buck and lower glycemic index, which would cause our blood sugars to not spike as much. So we have a lot more stable energy levels and not make us so tired after the meal. With integrative medicine, which uses the food as medicine concept, we're able to take foods and act just the way medicines do. So when certain medicines try to decrease inflammation, we can target specific foods and vitamins and herbs and spices that do that same thing. One of the great things about KU Medical Center is the fact that they have this integrative medicine clinic. And here, it's practiced that food is a foundation for our health. And when we think about food in terms of health, it's our biggest tool that we can use. And food can talk to our genes and tell our bodies to promote health. And so when we think about the responsibility that we have for our own bodies to do that, it's pretty empowering. And so with these ingredients that we use every day, we can do something and take the next steps for our health. But you just peel it like you would any other vegetable that you peel, and you can come from the foods that we eat, and so it's always good to protect our body with anti-inflammatory foods to help decrease that inflammation. These look awesome. And white vinegar, which also has some health benefits to it because it comes from grapes. All right. Okay, so we just toss these together. And then we just top the apples with this and make sure that we get them all covered. We'll just layer it.